Howdy, y'all. Marty Smith here for Outsider. This is Sunday Money. Chase Elliott goes to victory lane at Talladega Superspeedway for his fifth win of the 2022 season. He will advance to the round of 8 in the NASCAR Playoff, and I loved watching every second of it. He's a special kid, man. He is a beautiful person. He is this amazing linchpin. Like, he's kind of carrying on the Dale Jr. role in the sport. He inherited popularity, but he is taking that inheritance and building upon the last name. He is building the legacy of the Elliott name. As we head to the Roval this weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway, Chase Elliott wins Talladega. Chase Elliott is awesome at the Roval. Ryan Blaney, who finished second at Talladega Superspeedway, is awesome at the Roval. Those guys need to be on your fantasy team. They need to be in your lineup because they're both really good. A.J. Allmendinger, also somebody to look at this weekend at Charlotte. This is a very interesting NASCAR playoff, man. First 3 races won by drivers not competing for a driver championship. Chase Elliott turns around, made an unbelievable move. Let's just talk about that move for a second. All right, he is on the final restart, third in line on the bottom. He is making his way. There is an opening on the top, in the top groove, just in front of Eric Jones, and he had less than a foot in the front and the rear of his race car to slide up in front of Eric Jones to the high line, and it was remarkably done. He gets up in the high line, gets a shove from Eric Jones, ultimately outruns Ryan Blaney to win his 5th race of the season, the Yellowwood 500 there at Talladega. What was one of the more interesting aspects of the race weekend at Talladega was how vocal the race drivers are about the next-gen race car and that it is not the safest machine that it could be. Denny Hamlin was on the record speaking to reporters there in Talladega.
The car needs to be redesigned. That it needs a full redesign. I mean, it can still be called next gen, but it needs to be redesigned. We brought up these concerns with NASCAR last winter. We actually, as the drivers, didn't do that docuseries last year because we didn't feel comfortable with this next gen car and the safety, the lack of safety testing that had been done before they started announcing that they were going to run it. So it's just we threw up red flags over a year ago, and they just didn't respond. They just kept pushing that this car's got to be on the racetrack at all cost. At all cost.
So NASCAR's on notice. Steve Phelps, Scott Miller, everybody involved down there is on notice to make this race car safer. And I will tell you this. I was with one of the Cup Series drivers. I will not name whom because it was an off-the-record conversation, but I was with one of the race drivers way earlier in the year. I think it was probably April, maybe May. And that race driver was voicing concerns to me that this car was not as safe as it should be and that the hits felt harder than the previous iteration of the NASCAR racing machine. And that is now 100% the narrative from Denny Hamlin and from Chase Elliott, the 2 voices of the sport. Along with Kevin Harvick, I would say those 3 guys are the ones that are willing to be the most vocal and have the resumes to back up what they say. So Denny even named Tua Tagovailoa. We saw what happened with Tua in the Miami Dolphins game 2 weeks ago. He takes a hit, he gets up, he stumbles to his knee, hops back up. Everybody immediately goes, concussion. I'm not going to veer off into all of the fallout from that, but Tua then takes another hit in the Thursday night game, is carted off on a stretcher with a concussion. So Denny used that example in his own explanation of what can happen in the next-gen race car. He said, the race drivers cannot keep taking these hits because once you ask Dale Earnhardt Jr., Dale Earnhardt Jr. is the foremost expert on this. You take one hit, you get it concussed, the next one comes easier. You get another one, the next one comes easier, and they continue to build on themselves. And Denny is extremely concerned that that's what's happening with this race car. Kurt Busch has not been in the race car in quite some time because of post-concussion recovery issues. And there's also something I haven't been able to discuss yet on Sunday Money because we didn't do a show last week, and that's what happened at Texas when William Byron spun Denny Hamlin under caution and NASCAR missed it. And the series director, Scott Miller, admitted they missed it, which you appreciate the fact that they admit it, but they're saying that they couldn't fix it, and Denny Hamlin took to Twitter and said, we were yelling at them, challenging our spot. What are they doing up there? So there's a lot going on down there at the sanctioning body between drivers calling out the safety of the chariots they're racing and the way the races are being officiated. Everybody's on notice as we head to Charlotte Motor Speedway for round 5 of the NASCAR playoff. And before we get out of here on this edition of Sunday Money, just want to say I'm so grateful that Jordan Anderson is okay. He had a fiery crash at Talladega Superspeedway and actually got out of his race truck before it stopped moving because the flames were so hot. It was interesting to see what Jordan said on social media. So grateful for the prayers and support. We've been in some great hands with all the NASCAR and UAB nurses and doctors. No doubt God's hand was protecting me through that one scariest moment of my racing career. He had second-degree burns across his neck, face, right arm, hands, and both knees, and he got cleared to go home. Doctors say everything should heal in just a few weeks. They'll keep us updated. Certainly, we're all grateful that you're okay too, brother. That was one of the scarier ones we've seen in a really long time. Looked like a movie. Glad Jordan's all right. Before we get out of here, go to shop.outsider.com. Use the code Marty and get 20% off your Sunday Money hat. I love seeing all of the submissions on social media. So many of you guys are sending me pictures wearing this hat. We love this hat. With the patch design and the race car design on there, we love this hat. I wear it all the time. People want it. I just gave one to Luke Combs. I pray that he might wear it on stage someday. Luke, I know you're watching. That's Sunday Money. I'm Marty Smith. Appreciate y'all. We headed to Charlotte and the Roval.